going to be shifting back and forth to my teeny tiny phone screen here with my agenda on it. Patty, if you can make sure to take the call to the roll from the folks that are on the Zoom list at some point, and put it into the record, that would be great. We will move from there to approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'd make a motion.
Thank you. Motion by Councilman Roberts, second by Chad Hines. Any discussion of the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Or raise a hand, whatever. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Traffic Safety Committee reports. Oh, there we go. Now I'm on the right page. Chad.
All right. I'll start off with what we've got going for construction this year. Highway 64, we got a culvert east of the Highway 25 north intersection. It's a 10-foot by 6-foot box culvert, staged half at a time with temporary signals. They're looking at starting that around July 5th, and figure it'd take about 2 or 3 months to do that job. Highway 12, the Wilson Creek Bridge. Traffic is currently on the temporary bypass with the temporary signals right now. Looks like they're gonna probably pour the deck on that next week, I understand, and looking to open the new bridge in early July. And then we have a completion date of August 6th by the time they get everything of the temp bypass removed and get everything cleaned up around there. Highway 25 project south of Menominee from Red Cedar River to 490th or 28th Avenue. The mainline paving is done on that. They're working on intersections and shoulders and rumble strips and stuff like that. They're looking to have that complete right before the 4th of July. Weather holding out here for us. Highway 12 in Menominee from 6th Street to 21st Street. That's a 1 3/4 mill and grind and patch the joints and overlay, and then convert to the 3-lane with the center turn, 2-way left turn lane. They're looking at starting that on June 21st here. We got the pre-con meeting on Monday, so that'll be coming right up. That's a September 2nd completion. And the last project on the state highway system, Highway 25, we have the South Fork Lower Pine Creek Culvert to South Ridgeland. That'll be staged half at a time with temporary signals. We're looking at right around a July 11th start date and a mid-September completion on that. We got 3 local program projects that we're administering. Highway K, the Flayton Creek Bridge in Connorsville. They're looking at completing that by July 22nd. County Q, the Wilson Creek Bridge. There's a pre-con meeting end of this month on June 27th. Anticipate starting that. Shortly thereafter, we constructed under a detour. And then the last project we just had led here in May, County H from double H to M, 6-inch pulverizing relay with the 4-inch hot mix asphalt mat on top. Some culvert grading work be done under detour from using M and 29. Haven't heard, Haas got the bid on that. We haven't heard on a start date yet. It's a 60 working day contract, so probably 3 months-ish. And then the only other thing as far as construction goes, this project is not in Dunn County, but in Eau Claire County, we have a project on 94 from Highway 312 to 37. We're replacing 2.5 miles of the concrete pavement kind of on the western edge there this fall. We're going to be running single lane counter directional traffic. So we're expecting some delay in queuing on Fridays and Sundays. So we'll have traffic using the alternate route. So we'll have some extra traffic on Highway 29 this fall and next spring. We're gonna try and get in there and blitz it and get it done here this fall, get it open before the 3rd Thursday in October when we have the Minnesota Education Association, when everybody in Minnesota comes to Wisconsin for no school. So we'll have some traffic impacts. We'll just kind of have to watch on that. Other traffic items, the Highway 29H and 906th Street safety project that we were looking into. We recently had a public involvement meeting in May, and we have kind of a lack of support for making an improvement there from the town of Elk Mound and the residents out there. So we're gonna pull our HISP application and we're not gonna make any improvements at that intersection at this time. We kind of got a decreasing crash trend out there, so we're just gonna continue to monitor it and see what happens. We're undergoing a traffic study in the city of Menominee in the downtown area, down on the triangle, 25, 12 and Main Street. The city approached us about a year or so ago. They want to move the 29 highway designation from Main Street up to 6th Avenue. So that kind of spurred a big traffic study to see how everything operates downtown. So we're looking at everything down there, possibly moving Highway 29 north of block, looking at all the signal operations and anything we can do to kind of improve operations down there. So we're anticipating that wrapping up here later this fall. I can kind of share those results once we find out what we may be doing down there. And the last item here, just want to brush a little bit on. I see the town approves on. We had a crash on Highway 85 in County O recently here. It was an injury crash. We've looked at the crash data again here over the last 5 years, and we still don't meet that threshold to qualify for a project under our safety improvement program to lower that hill to increase the visibility there. We are working with the county to add or increase the visibility of the warning signs approaching that intersection for westbound. So we're going to increase the sign size, add orange flags, and then put a advisory speed plaque on the bottom, just to increase awareness to that intersection. That's all I got right now. Any questions?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you. This is David Bakken, Township Approved Treasurer. Apologize for the typo in my name there. It shouldn't be an E after the D. Anyway, thanks for completing that study again. I understand that, appreciate the work that you're doing as far as doing another study and taking a look at that. I wanted to see if we could maybe get that pushed through a little bit more, if there's a funding issue to be able to revamp that, maybe even put turn lanes in. Couple of reasons. The current status of the population in Township of Peru are getting older, and we think that there's a possibility that that's part of the reason why we have more crashes there. But just a little FYI, a lot of that land that NSP had owned at one time is now gone into the private sector, and the township is also getting questions as far as building permits and what's going to happen with that land down there. If people do decide to start putting homes in, if a developer comes in, of course, and they start building homes, they get those rezoning permits for building. We're going to have increased population, which means there's going to be more traffic yet that is at that corner. There is a driveway on the top that, and the landowners that's right there on the corner on the north side of County Trunk Old West and State Highway 85 has a driveway, and he's very limited in trying to use that driveway because it is slightly hidden coming off that corner, off that hill. So, you know, if we could keep studying this, I can work with our state representative, Warren Petrick. I've been in contact with him a couple times, with Chad, you know that already.
Yep.
And what we can do, you know, if there's a funding situation there, you know, maybe we can push our state legislatures and our constituents in Madison that, you know, we need to do something different there. One other thing I'd like to bring up too, whenever we have an accident, of course, the Grand Fire Department and the ambulance service is called, not only for in case they need to extract someone for a vehicle, but also for traffic control. The township actually ends up paying for that. Insurance companies have been balking at that for years. They don't pay when we go from the township standpoint, when we send a bill to the crash victims there, they're not under any obligation to pay either. So the taxpayers are actually paying for that bill. And the minimum that we see is $700 per crash. So that is coming out of the taxpayers' pockets, basically. And we have to set money aside in order to pay for the potential of having to have the rural fire department come out along with the ambulance service. So I just wanted to let you know that is also happening.
Okay, that's good to know.
Ed, I just wanted to see too, when you guys are looking at that, is there been discussion about rumble strips on each side approaching 85? I've actually personally handled a number of crashes there, and it's usually a failure to stop in many instances. I don't know why people aren't stopping, but I think rumble strips meantime would be a good tool.
Dustin, any thoughts on that?
I guess that's something we can explore. I guess it's never been approached at this point in time to install rumble strips.
I know we had you guys added the reflective stripes to the post, but I think this last crash was during the day, so obviously that wouldn't impact things, but yeah.
I think it's a similar situation is Highway 64 and 25. We finally put those rumble strips up there. And on the topic of rumble strips, I was just going to throw out H southbound to 85. We don't have a lot of crashes there, and I just looked at community maps. In the last 7 years, we've got like 3, but there's an awful lot of tracks on the opposite side of 85 where people go blasting right across. Our chief deputy travels it every day while he's working, and people go across that intersection. I think we just been lucky to not have contact made, but I think that's another one to put on the radar, that for some reason people just don't see that stop sign or something similar to the 64 and 25 scenario. So I think it's something we all got to keep an eye on and see what we could do there. That's all we got for that, for Chad.
Anyone else?
We try to help the people in the township. We're trying to protect them from themselves a lot of times. That's what we're trying to do.
Yep, understood.
All right, Law Enforcement Liaison, Rick.
Okay, I sent out the report to everybody yesterday. You should have gotten the PDF. I'll just go over a couple of those things. Statewide numbers, our fatalities are up compared to last year, 227 compared to 214. And keep in mind, those are, the 214 is a hard number, the 227 is what's been reported. So any fatals in the last couple of days may not necessarily be on there. So it's actually a little worse than what the number suggests. Countywide numbers, overall crashes are up, but the majority of those look to be property damage crashes. Impairment is down by 30% this year, which is a good thing. We are seeing a lot more commercial motor vehicles being involved in the crashes this year, and speed is still a concerning factor. About a third of the crashes involve some type of speed as a factor to it. So, and then I did look at just a couple of predictive analytics things. We've looked at these in the past, and what I mainly wanted to point out by showing those 3 slides is that if you take just a look at the, I guess you'd call it the canned report in community maps, it'll show the top 3 are in the city of Menominee, which I think we've discussed that almost every meeting that they're in the city. But then when you take a look at all crashes, because as you said, how many of those crashes at that intersection on the hill, are near misses or could have been a fatal versus a simple property damage crash. Again, all 3 of them end up in the city. And what we find in a lot of areas is the other agencies think, okay, the problem's in the city, it's not ours, so we really don't need to use predictive analytics to take a look at it. But then the third one does show you, if you search by agency that did the report, it'll give the sheriff the top 3 areas where the sheriff has taken the reports. So it kind of helps you figure out, where your main concerns are for reports that are handled by the sheriff. And I think in the past, we've kind of looked at a couple of those areas, but it does seem like the majority of them are on the alternate, which is Highway 12. That's a pretty heavily traveled road. So that was the main reason for those 3, just to kind of give you some updates on that. There have been a couple of changes to community maps. And the reason we mentioned is if you happen to run a report last year and then you rerun it this year, you'll see the numbers will come up a little bit different. Distracted flag, they're actually pulling more information from the DT 4000. So you may see a few more crashes designated as distracted. They replaced the seatbelt flag with a safety restraint flag. It no longer includes not wearing a helmet, because that's not technically part of the motor vehicle safety restraint equipment. There will be a separate flag coming out for helmet use. And then alcohol and drug flags are combined to just an impaired flag. There is a way on the backside to pull those apart if you need to. But that going along with the way NHTSA does it. Our next mobilization is Labor Day weekend. The drive sober get pulled over, but there'll also be some impaired driving messaging for the 4th of July weekend. I think we're going to see quite a bit of traffic, as we've noticed the last couple of nice weekends. People are gone. We see a lot of highway traffic. Attached to the information that was sent out was the Governor's Conference on Highway Safety at the Chula Vista. Registration is open for that, and you can also take a look at the agenda. They are doing some training on WISE grants, and there's also quite a bit of time training, the traffic incident management enhancement. And there's a flat fee this year of $50. We're trying to get as many people back to the conference as we can. There was a question about being virtual, and from what I've heard, I don't believe there's going to be a virtual option. The 2022 Speed Awareness Day, more information will be coming out about that. It's one day where the entire region is focusing on speed. All they're asking for is if you have a speed grant, they'd like you to do a deployment that day. If you don't have a speed grant, then they just want the agencies to be a little more dedicated to speed enforcement for that one day, and maybe do some press releases or something. And then there will be some type of a report. I'm assuming it'll be through WISE grants, but that hasn't been worked out yet. I do know the State Patrol is going to be involved in that quite heavily, and I don't know if more information has come out yet. Maybe the sergeant can talk about that when it gets to his, but I haven't heard if anything else is coming out yet. A reminder on the DRE school coming up in October. There are still some openings. Community Maps user group meeting. We had the one on March 30th, and there were over 80 people that participated. It was very helpful to hear what people want, as well as kind of doing some demonstrations of Community Maps so you can see some of the features. One thing you are going to notice that if you go into the basic search where you don't have to log in, you won't be able to get all of the flags you can when you're in the advanced. And we're trying to push, especially law enforcement and highway department, people to go to the advanced side to actually pull more of the data and get a little more used to that. The next one is June 29th. It's a 1 hour thing, Zoom meeting. And it's a good way to get a little more information on it. And then lastly, the ATV, UTV speed limit legislation passed, signed into law in March, which gives the municipality the ability to set a speed limit lower than the regulatory speed limit and make it specific to ATV and UTVs. And then the last one is the green vehicle lamps that are permitted on DOT or highway department vehicles. It's not required. It is optional. A number of the agencies are actually going to that. There's been some studies that show that it's much more visible. The only requirement is that you have to put them on the front and the rear, or visible from front and rear. And they are not allowed on contracted vehicles. So if, let's say, the city of Menominee would contract with Jim's Trucking to do their plowing in the city, they cannot have the green lights. It's only for municipally owned vehicles. That's really all the information I have for today. If there's any questions, shoot me an email or give me a call or let me know now.
Anybody? Looks like not right at this moment. Do we have anyone from Railroad? Nope, does not look like it at the moment. Captain Roberts.
All right, since the last meeting, the sheriff's office handled a total of 53 crashes as of June 1st anyway. 16 multi-vehicle crashes, 37 single vehicle crashes, 21 crashes with injuries, total of 27 persons injured in those crashes. We just finished up our deployment for Click It or Ticket, which ran May 23rd through June 5th. And we are participating in the speed enforcement grant with Boyceville, Colfax, and Elk Mountain Police Departments also participating. And I had some rumble strip concerns, and I already talked about those. So unless anyone has any questions, that's all I've got.
Anyone? All right. Dustin.
Just to give everybody an update on our county projects that we are currently completing. We are redoing a portion of County Road Q, just north of State Highway 170 by Downing. That's a 1.25 mile stretch. We are anticipating probably starting paving that here in the next couple weeks. Currently that road is closed to local traffic, and a detour is signed. County Road V project between Sand Creek and Ridgeland, we have a 3 mile stretch of highway that we are redoing there. That is currently pulverized, and we are going to be shaping that next week and hopefully paving it the week after. So hopefully that will be done here in the next couple of weeks as well. We did start the County Road Z project down by Downsville, just south of Downsville between County Road C and C. That is a larger project with some improvements, widening improvements, and cutting some hills down and stuff. So we are looking at taking all summer pretty much to do that project. I would anticipate probably right around that September before we are completed with that project. And just to give an update on our County Road B project that will be taking place next year in 2023 from Highway 1229 to Packer Drive, just north of the railroad tracks. Real estate acquisitions have been started on that project. We do have 6 parcels that we do need to purchase some right of way to improve some turn lanes, in particular at by Quick Trip. We will be adding a turn lane there, redoing the traffic signals and adding a traffic signal at Love's intersection. So that, like I said, there's a lot of coordinating going on right now with that, with the railroad. And hopefully that will be finally completed with that rough railroad track and the rough concrete at the intersections, and make some improvements in next year. And I just will reiterate that will be a traffic nightmare when it is started. So we will anticipate some issues with that next year. Other than that, I guess that's all I have right now. And on to the next.
All right. So this would normally be Highway Committee Chair, which is no longer me. That would be Supervisor Johnson now, since I am now the Board Chair. So since Brian is not here, we're going to just skip right on to Sergeant Bell. By the way, do you prefer Undu's Bell or Bell? I would like to get it right.
Either is fine. Bell's
All right.
fine. So it seems to be a lot easier. Since the last meeting, State Patrol was involved or handled 17 total crashes in the county, 0 which were fatalities, 5 injuries, and all of them were on the 94 corridor. What else did I have? We've been doing the Click It or Ticket mobilization. We had some troopers involved with that. We're also going to be in the next few weeks here doing some air grant speed details. Primarily the only zone we have is in the Knapp Hill area, so we'll be doing those common, I want to say in about 1 to 3 weeks, and another one I believe sometime in August. And then also the same thing with the Speed Awareness Day on July, I think it's July 27th. The only other information I have for that is for our personnel. We do have grant funding for that, with troopers being able to work. I believe it's just a 4-hour period. on the grant. However, we're asking that whole shift that day. They work in speed enforcement. So in the county, we'll be having certain details set up in the area all day for that, between our midnight cars all the way through. So we can hopefully make some type of a wave going through with that. Other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Sergeant Bell? All right, seeing none. School administrators, I don't see Bill on. If the person who's got the phone number that ends in 2906 could identify themselves at some point, just so we know who that is, that would be great. Nothing from the Dunn County Board side of things. Ryan Howe for community member, also not present, I believe. Red Cross. Nope. First responders. Mary said she wouldn't be here, I believe. So KT.
That makes for a quick agenda, huh?
It does.
Just sharing from the health department's standpoint, we continue to see kind of a tapering off of COVID cases, which is what we expect through the summer. We have had a couple deaths recently, as we are seeing second infections getting into our long-term care facilities and assisted living. So still continuing to see impacts in highly susceptible populations. But I do think that we'll have a fairly reasonable summer, and then probably see another uptick come fall as people spend time together indoors. The federal CDC and state is starting to get excited about monkeypox, so I thought I would share a little bit about that. Right now there are 100 cases that they've been able to find within the United States, and it does appear that because it's atypical presentation, that there is some concern that there has been some person-to-person spread here without it being caught. And so they are really trying to do a lot of outreach to different populations, especially folks that do a lot of travel or men who have sex with men, to make sure that this does not go underreported, because it can be passed not just through intimate contact, but through sheets and bedding and other soft surfaces that can be, you can transmit the germ. So that's something that they're really trying to get out. So I think that that's important for you guys to know. We did have an avian influenza reported here in Dunn County within a backyard flock. Luckily, avian influenza tends to break down really quickly environmentally when it gets to be above 80 degrees. And so for those of us in the room that like the warm temperatures, that's another reason to like the warm temperatures, is that it decreases that transmission risk. And so I think that that's the update that I've got from the health department.
Thank you, KT. Any questions for KT? All right, Melissa.
Hi there. Since our last meeting, I know sometimes I'm labeled as disasters, but we didn't really have any disasters, although we did kind of avert a couple. We had 2 confirmed tornadoes that came through Dunn County. And luckily, we did not have a lot of damage or not have a lot of those tornadoes, so that was a good thing. We've had 3 hazmat spills in the last month. All have been very minor, and I'm just kind of working through getting those cleaned up and restoration taken care of.
This is Patty. I'm not able to hear Melissa for the minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're still pretty faint.
Okay, is this better?
Yep.
Better. Okay, good. Patty, I'll catch up with you in case you missed anything, but just talked about the couple tornadoes that we had, some hazmat spills we're working on. And then we did have a reported cyber attack within Dunn County, not the government of Dunn County, but we were notified by the state of Wisconsin that a facility within Dunn County had a cyber attack incident. And so we just were aware of that. We did not need to step in or ask for any assistance. And I believe that the team at the state level was able to handle that cyber attack. Other than that, I really don't have anything, unless anybody has any questions.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Captain McRoberts, anything further to add on this side of things?
Nothing.
Alrighty. Denny.
Fairly quiet with fire and EMS as well.
Always good to hear. And Katie Wantuck will not be with us, which brings us to the end of our agenda. I will make sure to get sorted about our Judiciary and Law Chair and Highway Chair for the next meeting, and I'll plan on sitting in on that one as well. If anyone has anything else, now would be the time.
Kelly, I would mention, I'm gonna continue. I'm getting feedback or something, but I'm gonna have Sergeant Travis Mayer attend these also. He's our rec patrol supervisor. So if there's ATV, UTV questions, he's right there. I know the city's gonna have impacts as well, and we've kind of discussed some of those over the past meetings. So I'm gonna have him continue to attend to.
That sounds great.
Yes, thank you, David Bakken, Township of Peru. I would appreciate being involved in the next meeting. It looks like we're going to have one coming up in September. If I could get that invite, see what any kind of progress from a township standpoint, it'd be appreciated. And thanks for inviting me here today.
You're welcome, Patty. If you can make sure that he gets an invite for this next one around, that would be great. Yeah, December 16th. Any further comments?
Sergeant Beller. The only other thing I forgot to mention was regarding predictive analytics is that when we have individuals available to work those shifts that we do, we kind of have them assigned specifically working predictive analytics areas. The two analysis areas that we found for the summer months, we'll have them be working those areas. That's pretty much the exit 52 interchange area on 12, 29, 94, and then also over on the west side, highway 12 and then 94 as well. So we're hoping personnel is available that will have troopers in that area working specifically predictive analytics shifts.
All right, thank you. Anything else? All right, we are adjourned, and Patty, I will stay on to answer whatever the question is.
Okay, thank you.
See many of you next time.